But Rob Sand, our state auditor, has served as the 33rd Iowa State Auditor since 2019. Member of the Democratic Party, he reaches out to anyone and serves all Iowans, unlike some of our statewide elected officials. In 2022, Rob Sand was reelected and became the only statewide elected Democrat in Iowa. Rob's been doing a fantastic job being an auditor and doing the work despite the governor's efforts to restrict his powers and keeping an eye out for misspent money regardless of party. But I do know that Governor Reynolds has misspent money from the CARES Act, and who knows what she's been doing with coronavirus relief. But with that said, I will say that it's been a pleasure bumping into Rob all over the state. He does his 99-county tour with zest, with zeal. He is wonderful with his family in the parades. I've seen him and been in parades with him, wearing stickers and shaking hands. He's rarely in the center of the street. He's always to one side or the other with people, again, regardless of their background, because they know the importance of oversight. They know the importance of accountability. He stands for them and represents that, and so not a stranger to us here in Story County. Please put your hands together for Rob Sand.
No, you don't need to do that. Have a seat, please. You're too kind. I should have taken a video of that so I could prove it to my wife. Thank you all for coming out. It's good to see everybody. Good to have a room full of Democrats here in Story County. Way to go. I don't often introduce myself, but I'll give you a little bit in the way of background. I don't want to be presumptuous. Oh, everybody knows who I am. On the other hand, I don't want to talk about myself. So which one's worse, right? I'll talk about myself a little bit. I was born and raised in Decorah in northeast Iowa. My dad's family has been from Winnesheek County since we got off the boat from Norway. That's 5 generations ago, so we didn't go very far. Went out east for college. Saw what that was, came right back again. Went to Iowa for law school, spent 7 years at the Attorney General's office working under Tom Miller. Yep. A great Attorney General for the state of Iowa. When I was there, I prosecuted mostly public corruption cases, a lot of financial crime, some violent crime, pretty much a mix, whatever they put on my desk. I didn't say no. I worked on the Iowa Film Office tax credit scandals, if you remember that. And if you remember that guy, Eddie Tipton, that rigged more lotteries in America than anyone in history, I'm the guy that caught him. I should plug my book. It came out last year. It's called The Winning Ticket, and it's about the lottery case. If you're not familiar with this, let me tell you, not only are there rigged lotteries, not only is there a trial in a courtroom with lots of drama, not only is there a procedural investigation that's better than anything you see on TV, there are Bigfoot hunters involved. I'm not kidding you. There are people central to this case who spend time in the woods looking for Bigfoot. If that doesn't whet your appetite, I don't know what will. If that doesn't whet your appetite, I'll just add that the Washington Independent Review of Books called it one of their favorite reads of 2022. So you can get it pretty much wherever books are sold. If you can't get it wherever books are sold, you can get it on Amazon. So I got into the AG's office and I was doing the kind of work I wanted to do. Prosecuting people in positions of trust and power who abuse that trust and power. One of the most central pieces of the idea in our Constitution of self-governance is that governance and rules are for everybody. We don't have kings and queens. We don't have a king, we don't have a queen, we don't have a dictator, we don't need somebody telling us what to do all the time, we can handle it ourselves. But if we're going to do that, there's got to be consequences for people at the top when they mess up. And I loved working at the Attorney General's office because it was people in positions of trust and power that I was able to dig in and figure out what it was that they were doing that was wrong, and then do something to hold them accountable for it. And I enjoyed doing that. I prosecuted Democrats and Republicans. I prosecuted whoever needed prosecuting. One time, I'm proud of this, when I started to prosecute somebody that it turns out didn't need prosecuting, I dropped the charges. I'm proud of that. My allegiance, my loyalty is to the truth. It's not to my past actions. If I was wrong, I can admit it, right? And I was working at the AG's office. I was probably there for about 6 years. And I'd always been someone who, has a pretty positive outlook on life. I forgot to set a timer when I started here. I don't want to keep you all night. And I was prosecuting all these cases, as well as, like I said, a number of violent crime cases and a number of sexually violent predator civil commitment cases. Worst of the worst that we have in the state of Iowa. People where we're saying if we let them out, they're just going to go do it again because they have some kind of mental abnormality. Really horrific stuff. And after about 6 years, I remember there was a moment where I introduced myself to somebody, and I said what I had always said throughout my life if I was describing myself. Well, I'm a happy and optimistic person. But on that one day, it sounded like this. I'm a happy, optimistic person. And I remember hearing it and feeling it and going, oh, I know what my problem is. I'm getting up every day, and the only thing I'm thinking about is the worst things that human beings can do to each other. I should probably get a different job. So if you want to feel good, you get into politics, right? That's a happy place. I had worked with the auditor's office because they conduct public corruption investigations. I like the people I work with. I had seen over the years a couple of things I thought should be done differently. And then I realized in reading the law that the auditor's office also has an incredible authority to promote government efficiency. Boom! I'm sold. I want to be state auditor. I can wake up every day and think of a new way to save taxpayer money. What a wonderful thing. I'm not just cleaning up messes anymore, but I'm actually creating a system that's going to make things operate better. Let me do it. You let me do it. Thank you. So that was 2018, and in my first term, we uncovered more misspent money than any other state auditor ever had in their first term. Not only that, but we created a government efficiency program that is so good at saving tax dollars that the Republican state auditor of Mississippi has already copied it. Do you realize how good an idea has to be for a Mississippi Republican to steal it from a Democrat? That's the first term. And so I said, hey, I like this. I want to keep doing it. And, well, I'm still here. I'm still doing it. It was close, though. I don't know if you noticed. It was real close. We squeaked by. We lost a lot of good folks in 2022 on the ballot. A lot of folks didn't get there. So where are we as Democrats right now, right? Here's the easiest way to understand it. I know where I am. Also, I'll use the Cyclones as an example instead of the Hawkeyes. If your favorite football team goes 6-6, but you look at their games, not just the win-loss record, but you look at their games, and you're like, well, we missed a gimme field goal on this one as time expired, and that's why we lost by 1 point. And on this game, in the fourth quarter, this pass got tipped, and it was all weird, and they picked it up for a pick six and ran it in, and we lost by 5, right? And in this other game, there was this punt return. Speaking of punt returns, there was this punt return that was absolutely 100% a touchdown, but they called it, it was totally ridiculous. I think we should clap for that. I cheer for the Cyclones every Saturday except for one, right? If it's got the name Iowa in it, we want them to win because we're proud of our state. But you can look at 3 games. So you're like, we're 6-6, but if those 3 plays had gone differently, we would be 9-3. And that would really be something, right? That is where we are as a party. The Iowa Democratic Party is a sports team that is much better than its win-loss record looks. And so here's what happened in 2022. There were 7, let's think about it this way, 7 games, 7 statewide races on the ballot in 2022. But I'm going to blow your mind here. In 3 of those 7 races, the Democrat got 49% or better. Has anybody thought about that? That is half the Democrats, ladies and gentlemen, getting half of Iowans to vote for them. This is not a state that is allergic to voting for Democrats. Half of Iowans voted for half the Democrats. And a heck lot of them, probably 45%, voted for nearly all the Democrats, right? That's really close. What else is really close? Just the closest congressional race in American history in 2022. Rita Hart lost by 6 votes, not 6%, not 6 votes per precinct, 6 votes, right? There were 62,000 Democrats who voted in 2018, but not in 2022. There you go. So how close are we to winning again? This close. Does anybody ever stay? Am I making myself clear here? I know numbers, and some people, the numbers start coming after us and they go like this, right over the top. We are better than our record looks. This is still a state that votes for Democrats. We had more people split their ticket to vote for down-ballot statewide Democrats in the state of Iowa than any other competitive state in the country in 2022. And that was in the worst year for the Democratic Party in my lifetime, right? So, shoulders back, sit up straight. You're an Iowa Democrat, and you are going to help people get elected as Democrats in the state of Iowa in 2024. And why are we going to do it? I'm talking about sports here, but this ain't sports. People's lives improve or get worse based on whether or not we win elections, right? Because that's the purpose, right? I don't want to vote for somebody just because they're a Democrat. I want to elect people to improve people's lives in this state. And whether or not we do that, whether or not we win, is much more important than whether or not that was really a touchdown or an invalid fair catch on Saturday at Kinnick Stadium, right? Because it impacts people's lives. But we are going to win again because, we're Democrats in Iowa. We have to work hard, right? That's okay. We can work a little bit harder than what we've been doing lately, can't we? Anybody else ready to work hard to go win some elections? We got to knock on a few more doors. We got to send a few more text messages. We got to make a few more phone calls. We got to write a few more checks. Let me tell you something. Do you know where Iowa ranks for political giving per capita in the United States? This is going to be the fairest comparison you can make it. So this is per person in the state, and it's per dollar of income earned. So we're not comparing Iowa to California with all their people. We're not comparing Iowa to Connecticut, where they just make a lot more money. It's per person, per dollar of income earned. 44th. You want to win some elections, folks, we got to act like it, right? We're not going to win elections if we are 44th in political giving per person, per dollar of income earned. Fair? Fair. We got to do that. We have to work hard. But we can. I know we can, because getting up and losing, that's just a loss. We're looking at tomorrow, right? We're looking at what happens in 5 years in this state, what happens in 10 years in this state. And those things are too important to just say, boo-hoo, poor us, we're tired of losing, I don't want to play this game anymore. It's not a game. So we're going to keep doing it because we can and because it's the right thing to do. Here's the other thing. I don't know if you've noticed this, but the Republicans are kind of helping us at this point. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. When they passed this 6-week abortion ban in 2019, there were a lot of people who said, oh, that's showmanship. Roe versus Wade is on the books, doesn't matter. They're just doing that to please their base. And so a lot of people after that kept voting for Republicans because they said, well, I know they say that stuff about wanting to restrict a woman's reproductive freedom, but they don't really mean it. They just have to say that to go get those votes. How about now? It is 100% real, and we are 100% going to have more people voting for Democrats because of it than we have before. Absolutely. Issue number 2, vouchers. I have had people in my office at the Capitol from red parts of red counties livid about school vouchers. Absolutely livid. One of my most important pieces, there's a lot of reasons to oppose school vouchers, right? Plenty of them. Personally, I'm tired of hearing school choice when the schools get to choose the students. Does everybody know that? You don't actually get to say, oh, hi, I'd like to come to your private school now. Nope, they get to say, let's take a look at you. Let's see where you're from. Let's see who you are. Maybe let's see who your mom and dad are. If you live on the right side of the tracks, the wrong side of the tracks. Let's take a look at who you love. And then we'll decide. That's what school choice is. School choice is schools getting to choose their students. One of my most important parts of my life is my faith. I was raised going to church every Sunday, still do it. When the Sand family gets together for a meal, we don't say grace, we sing it. I've got an aunt that does religious artwork. I've got an uncle who's a bishop, was a bishop, retired now for the ELCA. My sons are named Tate and Axel. Axel is Axel because I did a little research after my wife suggested the name. Because when she said Axel, I went, eh. And then I looked it up in the big book of Scandinavian names. And it means Father of Peace. And I immediately thought of the Sermon on the Mount. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Everyone in this state, no matter what their faith or none at all, is welcome here 100%. But when I, as a Christian, see what's going on with our vouchers program and watch religious schools exclude people, I can't help but bear the irony in it. The idea behind the Christian faith is that it is for everyone, that everyone is included, that everyone is welcome. Jesus was friends with the people who were excluded by other people, right? So who would he be with right now? Would he be turning people away from his school? No. That's just me. No matter what your faith is, no matter what your perspective is, you can look at this bill and think it's crazy for other reasons too. I like to say that you could actually be for school vouchers, which only about 35% of Iowans are, and still think this bill is crazy because there is no oversight. Public schools in the state of Iowa have got to have public meetings so people can see what's going on. They've got to provide public records to people when they're requested, right? They have to report misspent money. They have to have an annual audit. None of those 4 requirements will apply to private schools who take your tax dollars as vouchers. What are we doing here? Not only that, but there's no rules. Now, if you want to fact check that, it's a slight exaggeration. There's one rule. One thing they can't do with your money once it's paid to them. So, no rules, about as close as you can get mathematically. The only thing they can't do is they can't give a refund to parents. That's it. If a for-profit private school wants to just put your tax dollars in their pocket as a profit, they can do that. If a for-profit private school wants to blow all of your tax dollars on the most irresponsible, ridiculous, gaudy athletic facilities and uniforms to pull in all the athletes, they can do that. If a private school in the state of Iowa wants to take your money, your tax dollars, and use them to wine and dine the parents of prospective students, to take them out for a big steak dinner and get them a nice fancy glass of wine and say, we're going to take such good care of your kids, they can do that. That's legal now in the state of Iowa with your tax dollars, and there's no rule against it. bless my heart, when I discovered this, I thought they had made a mistake. I thought maybe I was the first one that read that bill the right way and noticed that there weren't any rules. So I brought it to somebody who actually advocates for vouchers. I said, hey, I was just reading this. It took me a couple times through it, but there's not any rules for the private schools. All of these rules about spending it on qualified educational expenses and this and that, those are for the parents. But once it gets paid as tuition, and it's required to get paid as tuition first before any other expenses, they can do whatever they want and there's no oversight. And then I waited. I was expecting, are you sure? Well, that can't be. Who would want that? No, here's the answer. Oh yeah, we know. We don't want public oversight of private schools. Then don't give them public money. This seems so uncomplicated to me. You don't want public oversight of private schools? Oh, sweet. See ya. Good luck. Hope you do well. But you don't get public money, because public money, we have oversight for that, right? Bless my heart. Iowans don't like this. And the more they learn about it, the more they don't like it. The Iowa poll asked people about this program in 2022. 55% opposed. The Iowa poll asked people about this program in 2023. 63% opposed. The more people learn about this bill, the more they don't like it. Can we win again? Yes. We are a sports team that is better than our record looks, and the Republicans are helping us at this point, right? And then let's talk about one more thing. They just gutted the auditor's office. If you miss this, now in the state of Iowa, if you are getting audited by the state auditor and you're a state agency, there's a long list of documents that you're not supposed to provide to the auditor's office. What? I know, I'm not going to repeat it, but it's true. Here's the funniest part. If we ask for a document and they say, no, I don't think we're going to give you that, and we say, oh, even with this new ridiculous list, we think we're supposed to have it, we can't take them to court anymore to have an independent judge decide whether or not we should get the document. Now we go to a 3-person arbitration panel. The 3 people on that panel is one person from the agency that we are auditing. 9 times out of 10, that's under the governor's office. One person from our office and a second person appointed by the governor. There are 2 over here and 1 over here. You do not need to be an accountant or a CPA to figure out how that math is going to work. I was at the state fair just about every day. An astronomical number of people came up to me and said something like, I'm not a Democrat, but I can't believe what they did to you. I'm a conservative, but you should keep doing and being able to do what you're supposed to do. This is one of those issues, folks, that just kind of stops people in their tracks. They are used to having fights about guns. They're used to having fights about God. They are used to having fights about gays. Guns, God, and gays, right? It's what we've been talking about for, it feels like, my whole life. When everyone goes, wait, they don't want the government to get audited anymore? They're not used to that argument, and they don't like it. We can win again, and quick. I am a believer in that 100%. We can do it, right? Because they are giving us all of this ammunition, because they think they can't lose. They're giving us all this ammunition at a time where we still have plenty of people in the state of Iowa who are totally comfortable voting for Democrats, right? Not just the people in this room, but a lot of other ones too. Here is our job. We don't have to forget, but we do need to forgive some people, okay? Do you want to get people to vote for Democrats in 2024? Raise your hand if you do. How about 2026? 2028, 2030? Okay. Is it going to help if you're still mad at them about who they voted for 2 years ago? No. Correct. Mike Wolf.
But I agree.
Oh, that wasn't you? Oh, it was Ryan.
I've been mistaken for much worse.
See, it's a good thing that Ryan's running for office. He's a leader. He knew the answer to that one. We can't get people to refocus on the three issues that I was just talking about if all we want to do is yell at them about who they voted for 4 years ago or 6 years ago or 8 years ago or 10 years ago. Does anyone think that I am wrong? It doesn't mean you can't still be disappointed. I may look young. I know I look young. I look young. I've been married for 11 years. One thing I've figured out in 11 years is that if I get up and I argue, or I'm jumping the gun here. If I bring up the issues that I know I'm going to have an argument about, my day is not a fun day, right? There's at least 3 of them. I am not naming them for you. I'm sure some of them are the same that is in your relationships. And if you're not married, then it's with your dad or your mom or your best friends, right? We just don't need to talk about the things we're going to get mad about because it doesn't help us solve the problems we need to solve, right? We have to accept where we are, and we have to find a way to move forward. Because if we don't do that, we can't get people refocused on where our state is right now. Where our state is right now is that we have a 6-week abortion ban that is actually probably going to take effect in the state of Iowa because Roe versus Wade is no more. We have a school vouchers program that is going to rob public schools of the funds that they need to educate our children and really hurt rural schools. And we have an inability to find waste, fraud, and abuse because there's a small number of insiders that actually run the state of Iowa right now, and they don't want to be held accountable for what they do wrong. You and I both know that most Iowans don't like any of those things, and we have got to do the work to focus them on those issues so that they will vote for Democrats in 2024. Tell me if you are with me. You can figure out what you need to do. You can figure out what your own thought process is going to be and getting past that for people where we've had disagreements. But they're going to see a lot of things that they don't like coming from Republicans. That's step 1. Step 2 is looking at Democrats and feeling like we're going like this, not making a different gesture that is less welcoming, right? But unless we're going like this, they're probably not going to come on over, right? We've got to do that. So, when you're on social media, you don't have to turn off the caps lock, right? If you're going to engage with somebody, engage with them with kindness. If it's someone that you know is a troll, and you know they're just full of it, right? You're not arguing with them. You're having a public argument. You're in a restaurant that's crowded with people on the internet. Think of it this way. When people look at your comments, whose side are they going to take? Who's the reasonable one? Who's the one that's actually trying to be nice, right? So we've got to, again, I'm going to loop this back to where we started this whole thing. The Constitution, self-governance. If we want self-governance that is focused on good things for Iowa, we have to govern ourselves in how we engage with our fellow Iowans. Sound good? Okay. I don't know how to end this. I hope it... Oh, no. Someone had suggested questions. Do you want to do, should I do questions, or is this like a 5 o'clock, let's get out of here kind of thing? I'll hang around in the back in case people want to do questions. Let's just end it right here, okay? So I'm going to sum it up again. We are better than our record looks over the last 8 years in the state of Iowa, and this state is full of people who are perfectly fine voting for Democrats. We have got to do 2 things. 1, remind them what Republicans are doing right now that makes them angry and hurts their communities and hurts their families. And 2, be nice to them and welcome them into our party. If we do that, we're going to win again and quick. Thank you.
Rob Sand, everybody, Rob Sand.